I think you have to take it one day at a time, but inevitably you do look into the future and you do hope that you can sort of regain, you know, a good quality of life, and hopefully for as many years as that's possible. I think it'll be difficult, but I think sort of the idea of returning to sort of, you know, my house, my flat in Sheffield, and sort of moving on with my career and getting back to sort of normality, that's really what keeps you going.
The Royal Hallamshire Hospital in Sheffield has become almost a second home for Examiner reporter Adrian Sudbury since being diagnosed with leukaemia 6 months ago. Last week, Adrian returned to the hospital after spending the past 6 weeks enjoying time out with his family and friends. He now faces a major bone marrow transplant.
I think generally I am quite positive. I'm quite upbeat at the moment. There's a really good team here looking after me. I've got a donor, so I'm very grateful for that. I know, you know, what's going to happen to me in the next couple of weeks. The nurses keep referring to it as the journey, and I kind of know what they mean really. It's sort of, you know, from previous experiences, doing some really bumpy rides and difficult roads and all the rest of it. And I got ill last night, you know, pretty badly, so you know what to expect. But I'm quite confident of getting out of here and making a good recovery.
In what nurses refer to as the journey, Adrian has now begun a series of steps in order for him to complete the bone marrow transplant procedure.
Basically, the first part of the transplant process is all about suppressing my immune system, so that when the new cells are put in from the donor, my body doesn't reject them outright. And what you can see here is this a bag of immunosuppressant drugs called Campath. And what Campath is doing, it's binding to the T cells, the T lymphocytes of your immune system, which normally would fight off infection. Once this substance binds to the T cells can no longer function as it would normally, and therefore your immune system begins to be suppressed. There are some unpleasant side effects which I experienced last night with my first day. They included vomiting, sort of extreme cold, and sort of shivering. But thankfully got through that, and apparently the next day is never quite as bad as the first one. The downside is that with the bone marrow transplant is that you're never quite sure long term how it's going to sort of pan out. Lots of people do want to live full and healthy lives afterwards, but for some people it can be quite difficult. I think for me the worst case scenario would be, you know, if my sort of quality of life was affected and was constantly, you know, there was problems with it and so on. So I'm optimistic but also apprehensive.